Have you ever woken up in the morning and just felt incredibly grateful for another day? Maybe the sunlight was gently peeking through the curtains. Maybe the birds were already singing outside your window, and you just had this little moment, this tiny breath of appreciation. Life really is made up of those little moments, but sometimes we hear news that jolts us out of our routines. Like the story I heard just yesterday, a 65-year-old man, healthy by all accounts, passed away quietly in his sleep. No warning signs, no major illnesses, just gone. It's unsettling, isn't it? Especially when it hits close to home. Someone around your age, maybe even someone you knew. And then the thoughts come. Could that happen to me? Was there something he did or didn't do that made the difference? It's human to ask those questions. And while some things are out of our control, there are many that aren't. That's why today I want to have a real conversation with you. Not to scare you, but to share some eye-opening truths and helpful habits that might just make your nights more peaceful and your mornings more certain. This video is for you, especially if you're over 60, and especially if you've ever wondered how your bedtime habits might be affecting your overall health. We're going to gently walk through 4 simple bedtime behaviors that could be silently sabotaging your sleep, or worse. These aren't wild claims or internet rumors. They're based on real health knowledge, shared in a way that makes sense for real life. Because that's what matters. Practical things you can actually do, starting tonight. Let's begin with something that might seem innocent, even comforting. Eating late at night. You know that feeling after dinner when you're watching TV or reading a book, and you just crave something, a little snack, maybe a cookie or a handful of chips. It feels harmless, right? A tiny pleasure at the end of the day. But here's the thing, our bodies don't process food the same way at night as they do during the day, especially as we get older. When we eat too close to bedtime, our digestion doesn't get a chance to slow down the way it's supposed to. Instead of resting, your stomach's working overtime. This can lead to issues like acid reflux, indigestion, and even increased heart rate while you sleep. And here's where it gets even more serious. Studies have shown that people who frequently eat heavy meals at night have a higher risk of sleep disturbances and even sudden nighttime cardiac events. It's not just about what you eat, but when you eat. Your body needs time to wind down. If you're heading to bed with a full stomach, you're making your heart and digestive system work harder than they should at that hour. And when those systems are overactive, it can throw off your natural sleep rhythm, raising stress levels and making your sleep shallow or interrupted. I know it's hard to give up those nighttime snacks. They're comforting. They become part of a ritual. But maybe instead of a heavy meal or sugary treat, try something lighter if you're truly hungry. A banana, a small handful of nuts, or even just a warm herbal tea. And aim to stop eating about 2 to 3 hours before bed. It gives your body time to settle and your system a chance to rest, which is really the whole point of sleep, isn't it? Now think about this. If something as seemingly simple as late-night snacking can have that kind of effect, what else might be hiding in our bedtime routines? What other quiet habits are we carrying that could be stealing rest, energy, even our safety, without us even realizing it? That's exactly what we're going to talk about next. Now that we've covered the first habit, eating too close to bedtime, let's move on to the next one. And I'll be honest, this next one surprised me too, because it's something so many of us do without even thinking. Often we reach for our phones. Or maybe it's the tablet. Sometimes it's the television remote. Whatever the device, it's got one thing in common. Screens. Bright, glowing screens that we stare at, often right up until the moment we close our eyes. Now I get it. These devices have become part of our routines. You might watch an old favorite show before bed, scroll through some photos, or play a quick game to unwind. It feels harmless, even relaxing. But here's the part no one tells you. These screens could be quietly messing with your brain's ability to shut down and sleep properly. The reason is something called blue light. It's a kind of light that these screens give off, and while it's perfectly normal during the day, it's actually similar to sunlight. It becomes a real problem at night. That's because our brains use light cues to figure out when to produce melatonin, the hormone that makes us sleepy. When you stare at a screen late at night, your brain gets confused. It thinks it's still daytime, so it holds off on making melatonin. That's why so many people struggle to fall asleep, or they wake up at 3 a.m., feeling wired instead of rested. It's not just age, it's stimulation. Your mind is still alert, your body is still reacting to light, and even if your eyes are closed, your brain is stuck in daytime mode. And the thing is, as we get older, our natural melatonin levels already decrease. So we're starting at a disadvantage. Then we add late night TV or scrolling, and it just makes the problem worse. Poor sleep has been linked to memory problems, higher blood pressure, and even increased risk of heart issues, none of which any of us want to mess around with. Now, I'm not saying you need to give up screens completely. That's not realistic for most of us. But what is realistic is setting a gentle boundary. Try powering down your screens about an hour before bed. Instead of looking at your phone, maybe put on some soft music. Read a book, an actual paper one, or just sit in a quiet room, maybe with the lights dimmed, and reflect on the day. You'd be amazed how quickly your body starts to relax when you give it a little darkness and a break from noise. You could even try a nightly ritual that tells your brain, hey, it's time to wind down. A warm shower, a cup of chamomile tea, a little stretching or light breathing exercises. These things help your body and mind shift out of go mode and into rest. And if you need to use your phone for something like an alarm or music, at least turn on night mode or blue light filter settings. It's not perfect, but it's better than nothing. It's easy to overlook this stuff, isn't it? We think of sleep as just something that happens when we're tired. But the truth is, sleep is something we need to protect, especially as we age. And that means being a little more mindful about how we prepare for it. So now we've talked about late night eating and screen time, two habits that seem small but can have a big impact on your sleep and your health. And believe me, we're just getting started. The next habit is something many people think is actually helping them sleep. But in reality, it could be one of the riskiest things they do at night. It's tied to the quiet moments right before bed. And while it might bring a temporary sense of calm, it can leave your heart and brain more vulnerable than you think. We'll get into that next. Let's keep going, because these next insights might just be the ones that surprise you the most. It's something that's been around for centuries, something that many folks believe helps them relax or take the edge off before bed. I'm talking about alcohol, that nightly glass of wine, that little sip of whiskey, or the beer with dinner. It feels like it helps you unwind, doesn't it? You sit back in your favorite chair, maybe watch the evening news or an old movie, and it becomes part of your bedtime routine. But here's the tricky thing about alcohol. It feels like it helps you sleep better, but it actually does the opposite. Sure, you might fall asleep faster after drinking. That part is true. Alcohol is a sedative after all. But what happens after you fall asleep? That's where the real problems begin. See, alcohol messes with your sleep cycles, especially the deeper stages that your brain and body rely on to heal, repair, and recharge. Instead of slipping naturally through the stages of restful sleep, your body ends up stuck in lighter stages. You might not realize it at the time, but your sleep becomes shallow. You toss and turn more. You wake up feeling groggy, unrested, maybe even with a headache or dry mouth. And for older adults, this becomes even more serious. Alcohol can affect your heart rhythm, your breathing, and even increase your risk of nighttime accidents, especially if you have to get up to use the bathroom in the middle of the night. It can lower your blood pressure suddenly when you stand, causing dizziness or falls. And if you're on medications, which many people over 60 are, alcohol can interact with them in dangerous ways. Now, I'm not saying you need to cut it out completely if it's something you enjoy, but it's worth taking a closer look at when you're drinking and how much. If your glass of wine is part of dinner at 6 p.m. and you're in bed by 10, that's one thing. But if you're sipping something right up until you crawl into bed, it's likely interfering with your rest more than you realize. Try taking a break for a few nights and see how your body responds. You might be surprised how much better you sleep without that evening drink. Or if you're not ready to give it up entirely, consider swapping it out once in a while for something gentler. A non-caffeinated tea, warm milk, or even just some calming water with a slice of lemon. It's about giving your body the conditions it needs to rest. Not just fall asleep, but stay asleep and truly recharge. And here's something that's important to remember. Restful sleep is one of your body's greatest defenses. Against illness, against cognitive decline, against emotional fatigue. So anything that quietly steals it from you, even if it seems harmless or comforting in the moment, deserves a second look. So we've touched on eating too late staring at screens before bed, and relying on alcohol to wind down. Each of these habits might seem small, but over time, they can quietly wear away at your quality of life. Not just your nights, but your mornings too. How alert you feel, how steady your energy is, how strong your heart beats. And now we come to the final habit in this conversation. It's one that's deeply emotional. It doesn't involve what you eat or drink or what you watch. It has more to do with what you carry emotionally, mentally, when you close your eyes at night. And it just might be the most powerful one of all. We'll dive into that next. You've come this far, and I truly hope it's been helpful. So let's finish strong, together. Now let's talk about something that might not seem like a habit at first glance, but it absolutely is. It's what you bring to bed with you, not in your hands or on your plate, but in your mind. Worry, stress, guilt, regret, all those heavy thoughts that swirl around when the lights go off and the world goes quiet. For many people, especially in our later years, this is when the mind becomes the loudest. You might be lying in bed, trying to sleep, and suddenly the past creeps in. Things you wish you'd done differently, people you miss, moments you can't change, or maybe it's the future that nags you. What if something happens to your health? What if you become a burden? What will tomorrow bring? These thoughts can seem endless. And while they may feel like they're just part of life, especially as we age, holding on to them night after night can quietly damage your sleep and your spirit. Chronic nighttime stress doesn't just rob you of rest. It keeps your body in a state of alert, like there's always something to prepare for or fix. That tension raises cortisol levels, which can increase blood pressure, disturb your heartbeat, and even suppress your immune system over time. Sleep becomes restless, fragmented, or shallow. And the cruel part? The more tired you feel, the more anxious you become. It's a cycle. But here's the hopeful truth. You have the power to shift this. You might not be able to control every thought that comes into your head, but you can decide how you respond to them. One way to start is by giving yourself a short, wind-down ritual before bed, and not just physically, but emotionally. This could be as simple as writing down what's on your mind, just a little journal by the bedside. You don't have to be a poet or writer, just get the worries out of your head and onto the page. It's like giving your brain permission to set those thoughts down, at least for the night. Or maybe you try what I call a gratitude check-in. Right before you lie down, take a moment to reflect on 3 small things that went well that day. Not big life-changing moments, just small wins. Maybe your knees didn't ache today. Maybe your child called. Maybe the sunset was beautiful. Whatever it is, let your mind hold that for a few minutes instead of the stress. You'd be amazed how a small shift like that can change your whole night. And if you're someone who believes in prayer or meditation, those practices can be incredibly powerful tools for emotional peace. Quiet breathing, a gentle mantra, or simply asking for peace as you rest. These things calm the heart in ways that no medicine ever could. Remember, your mind needs rest just as much as your body does. You deserve that peace. Not just because it helps you sleep, but because a rested mind is a hopeful mind. And hope at any age is a beautiful thing to carry into the morning. So if you've been finding it harder to fall asleep, if you've been waking up feeling just as tired as you were the night before, or if the fear of not waking up at all has crept into your thoughts, please know this. You are not alone. So many people your age feel the same way. And the beautiful thing is, small changes can make a big difference. We've talked about 4 habits today: eating too late, overusing screens, drinking alcohol before bed, and carrying emotional weight into the night. They're small things, but they add up. And just as they can quietly drain your energy and health, changing them can help restore both. You don't have to fix everything overnight. Start with one change. Maybe tonight you eat a little earlier, or you turn off the TV 10 minutes sooner. Maybe you write something down before bed instead of holding it in. That one small step, that's your first act of self-care. And believe me, it matters more than you know. You've lived through so much, seen so many changes, carried so many people with your wisdom and love. You deserve to rest deeply, to sleep safely, to wake up feeling clear, strong, and ready for whatever life brings. If this conversation spoke to you in any way, I'd love to hear about it. Share your thoughts in the comments or even your own bedtime routine. We learn from each other and your voice matters here. And if you found this video helpful, go ahead and tap the like button. It helps more people find it. Subscribe for more content that speaks directly to you, your journey, and the powerful stage of life you're in. Until next time, sleep peacefully, take care of yourself, and remember, you are not alone, and it's never too late to choose better for your body and your peace.